It all started with a sticker, this sticker. I was researching for another story when I noticed it on a Russian teenager's laptop. Большие вызовы, it says, big challenges. But what are these challenges? Turns out it was much more than a sticker. It was a clue. And when I followed it, the truth about the state-sponsored war machine began to unravel.
Waves of Russian drones and missiles tore through Kyiv overnight.
So how large is this program? How many kids overall?
Нам запрещали говорить, то, что это нужно на войне. Мы придумывали гражданские применения.
Все, молодец.
What if the weapon that killed this man's kid was designed by a teenager? A child who thought they were just taking part in a cool technology summer camp. I'm Tatiana, an investigative journalist. With the help of my colleague Christa Grozev, I have been investigating these children's programs for the past few months. What we have uncovered is a state-sponsored machine of deception that exploits kids to fit Russia's war.
In my line of work, I get a lot of stories pitched by young journalists, and some of them pan out as real investigations, and others are complete conspiracy theories. But I knew who Tatiana Shulkevich is. Not only because she's made her name as an investigative reporter, writing for Politico, Guardian, Tagesspiegel, and many others, but I noticed her name when she was reporting from the streets of Minsk during the protests of 2020, when she challenged the falsities coming from the regime of Lukashenko, and when she was threatened with persecution and with arrest, and forced to leave her country. But instead of stopping and hiding, she continued reporting. So when she came with this story, I offered all the help I could give her.
The first thing we needed to do was figure out what exactly went on at Big Challenges. As I started digging, I found out that Big Challenges is a technology competition for kids aged 13 to 17. It's organized by the Russian government. Not unheard of, plenty of STEM competitions in many countries these days. But this one, as well as several others we will talk about later, has a special twist. At the Big Challenges and other events like it, the brightest kids from across Russia are asked to take part in a variety of tasks. The tasks have their own sponsors. So, for example, there is Yakovlev, which produces fighter jets for the military purposes, and Rosatom, which controls an occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Over than 80% of them are under the Western sanctions.
So companies like Rosatom and Yakovlev and probably Rostech are all sanctioned?
Yes,
giving tasks to kids to do what?
Tasks alone are really suspicious. So look at this. So it is from one of these contests, Archipelago. I will read it in Russian. Мониторинг складского помещения с помощью БПЛА. Запрограммировать дрон для автономного облета макета склада. Затем они должны обнаружить сотрудника, спящего на рабочем месте, зависнуть над ним и мигать синим светом до получения дальнейшей команды.
I mean, no kid will believe this is for real. I mean, this looks like essentially spotting a soldier. Why do they have to signal to somebody? What is the purpose of this?
So the thing is, it's reminiscent of the flashing light technique they use to drop the grenades from the drone. It's a DIY hack. The 3D printed grenade holder opens up when the turn the light on button is clicked. So they ask children to find a solution for this task.
Not to find, to actually do it and,
Yes.
and train the machine, I guess, and train themselves. It's Ender's Game.
Just look at the wording in the other two tasks.
Вести огонь мягкими снарядами, excuse me, уклоняться от ответных выстрелов при автоматическом или ручном управлении.
And they are expecting this from the children. God, I don't believe it. Look at the final one.
После нахождения человека на объекте и проведения фотофиксации появляется надпись «Цель найдена».
So what do you think?
This is crazy. They're not even trying to hide it.
I think they're trying, but they're not successful, to be honest.
How old are the kids that have to do this?
They can be as young as 14 to participate. Last year alone, over 16,000 kids applied with only the best selected. And the whole network of events has over 800,000 participants yearly.
Yeah, I mean, you have all the data you need. There's nothing more that can prove it on paper, but you need voices or faces. You need somebody to tell you that they know what they've been doing.
I found some names and social media and numbers of the teenagers who were participating in this contest. I also need some organizers' numbers. I have a list of their names, but of course I don't have their mobile numbers.
That's easy. We'll get you the latest numbers, private mobile numbers.
While Krista is working to get the numbers for the organizers, I decided to try calling the kids who I knew had participated in the program. I need to find out how much the kids knew about the real purpose of what they were doing. To try to get some of the participants to speak to me, I posed as a journalist from the Russian state media, trying to learn more about these events. We changed the kids' names in our investigation, as they are still minors.
Нам запрещали говорить, что это нужно на войне, и мы придумывали гражданские применения. То есть всегда на всех конкурсах есть такое негласное правило. Но это, скорее всего, какое-то политтребование, чтобы не было ассоциации, то, что Сириус заставляет детей заниматься войной.
So the military purpose is obvious, but everyone is expected to hide it. Maxim shared photos of one of the prototypes, literally developed as the big challenges, that was later acquired by a military company. Some children also told me that they are learning how to fly and engineer drones in drone clubs, a program that is government-supported.
Преподаватель, человек, который давно очень связан с темой дронов, и как только началась вся эта история с СВО, его сразу же привлекли к тому, чтобы помогать армии. Также первый год мы помогали с обучением военных, пилотированию непосредственно, и также помогали с сборкой дронов. Когда помогали, мне было 13. Вот.
Поняла.
То есть мы там в какой-то момент в нашей, не в Сириусе, в нашей учебной организации разрабатывали проект, который назывался «Доставка воды в труднодоступные места». Очевидно, что это за бутылки воды, по-моему, да, то есть,
А какие? Прости, я просто чуть-чуть гуманитарий, поэтому можешь мне объяснять чуть подробнее?
Вспомним форму снаряда, вспомним форму бутылки воды,
да. So they didn't just use children for training soldiers. They also had them start engineering drones that could be useful on the front lines. I then spoke to Vlad. He is considered a superstar in these circles. He designs and sells his own military-purpose drones, and he also came up through these systems.
На больших вызовах я получается, финалист этого конкурса, и хороших идей много не бывает, да, соответственно, в том числе и большим компаниям важно именно поступление различных свежих идей, незамыленный взгляд. Ребята, которые прошли финал, получают возможность взаимодействовать с различными компаниями из отрасли. Эти программы не только там знания, но и множество знакомств. То есть, допустим, поступали предложения от крупных, которые сейчас, в связи с военной операцией, взлетели, и заняли какую-то тоже свою нишу в области беспилотников. Я занимался вообще печатью различных изделий на 3D-принтере для всяких также организации, которые помогают нашим бойцам, поставки организуют.
It's one of the craziest things I've seen. When I told you they would start answering, it's crazy.
Yes, it's insane.
One of them sounded like 15.
Yes, 15 Stas. He was 13 when he started teaching the Russian soldiers how to fly drones. And the key thing is, right now, he's working independently on developing a kamikaze drone for the Russian army.
He spent 2 years between 13 and 15 participating in the war effort. Sponsors and organizers, they know very well that anyone under 18 cannot be employed in anything connected to a war. Even more reasons to talk to the organizers.
Making the calls is usually the most stressful part of an investigation like this one, because you really only get one chance to get the truth from someone who is actually asked to hide it. I always use a real Russian SIM, so the number looks familiar and local. I tried to call as many people that I could on our list. Some never pick up, while others, for instance Vyacheslav Zenkin, deputy chief designer at Sukhoi, did answer, but only breathed into the phone. The second call he did eventually pick up.
Алло, Вячеслав, здравствуйте. Я вам днем набирала. Там что-то сорвалось.
И что?
Мне ваш номер дал Вадим Александрович Бодеха. Могу я с вами пару минут поговорить?
С ума сойти. У него есть мой личный номер?
Ну, видимо, есть.
Сомневаюсь.
So that's how we learned that his number is apparently only available to a very select circle of people. But then we finally had a break. Mikhail Lutsky answered the phone. This time, I wasn't pretending to be a pro-government Russian journalist. I was pretending to be the big challenges methodologist. I felt that he might not to talk to a journalist, but he might talk to a colleague.
Про эту установку, куда, мягко говоря, намекают ребята, чтобы не рассказывали о том, что это...
Конечно. В прошлом году был проект, в рамках которого как раз кидали систему обнаружения дронов, но там это нормально привязали к гражданке, там ребята были из Росатом, да, ты же понимаешь, что те, кто читает про проект, это же не только дети, да, это же взрослые тоже, да, там их родители. Написание проектов не должны говорить о том, что это какого-то двойного назначения.
Dual purpose. That is the key term. They are building military tech under a civilian disguise. He confirmed the entire premise of hiding the military applications. I then asked if GeoScan itself helps the war effort.
У нас нигде у нас на сайте в блоге об этом не написано, да, на официальном сайте, значит, нигде этого нет.
Да.
Значит, мы этого не делаем, я имею в виду. Либо если и делаем, то это все неофициально.
Unofficial. It is the same pattern everywhere. I also called Nikolai Tsaturian, the organizer of one of the other competitions I mentioned, SKAT.
Давайте будем честны, когда у нас приходят школьники, студенты читают наши летные задания, конечно, у них там совпадение ментальное не с тем, что там бабушки пироги везет бабушкины пироги беспилотник, а с конкретной аналогичной боевой задачей.
I also reached out to someone from the government, Dmitry Afanasyev. He has some pretty dark ideas about drones at kids.
В Сахалинской области, где у них система вовлечения в тематику беспилотников, она с начальной школы построена. У них программа простые задачи там, для младшие школьники, потом посложнее задачи, средние, сложные уже задачи, не только управление, но и сборки, конструирование и так далее, программирование. В принципе, это очень ценная, очень полезная инициатива. И, конечно, хотелось бы ее распространить на, тем более поручение президента это предполагает.
It starts with flying drones, then it becomes building drones, and then they get hired into the companies to design new weapons. But as I was investigating, one question I was constantly coming back to was, where does this funnel actually start?
Hello?
Have you heard of Berloga?
What the hell? No.
Yeah, same, till this morning. So, it's a militarized video game. Cyber bears fight robot bees. It reached 500,000 downloads and 240,000 kids played specialized drone missions. So here is the key thing. Based on how well kids perform in this video game, they can earn 10 points towards university admission exams. It literally rewards the best young drone operators and programmers. Berloga is like ground zero for big challenges and these other events to scout most talented kids.
Have you found out who's behind this Berloga operation?
His name is Alexei Fedoseev. He runs several projects involving kids. I'll keep digging. Can you try to get his number? We should ask him a couple questions.
Yeah, just send me the first name, last name, and birthday if possible, or just a picture, and I'll give you everything.
Great. I was planning to call Fedoseev and see if he could confirm my suspicion that the game was a recruiting ground for the engineering events. But even before I could speak to him, I found a pretty damning document from Berloga itself that had been published online. It described how kids would get invitation to go to physical camps if they are high scores in the Berloga game. The first step in moving them through the funnel. And then I got Fedoseev on the phone. He openly confirmed working with militarized organizations. Цель нашего, вообще всего, что мы проводим, и нашего форума в том числе, это как найти кадры будущее для, конкретно специальных задач и такого направления, которое будет помогать, фронту, скажем так.
Понятно, да, дано назначение, нормальная практика.
Да, вот.
Так.
Да, просто мы не афишируем, поэтому я так аккуратно говорю.
Значит, линия номер 1 – это такая, скорее, просветительско-вовлекающая, это самый простой уровень. Здесь есть мероприятие, которое мы делаем совместно с движением первых, это «Зародница 2.0». Там, где ребята участвуют в технологическом таком формате погружения во всю тематику. В частности, мы делаем там по беспилотникам полностью их подготовку и там миссии, все вот это.
Alexei Fedoseev runs a lot of these children's events linked to the president's office. But the event he mentions here is vitally important. It's where these events go fully militarized. It's called Zarnitsa 2.0, and Fedoseev is responsible for the digital side of the project. He's apparently quite good at his job, because he was recently given an award from a close aide of Putin's, Vladimir Medinsky. Ironically, Medinsky was also responsible for leading the recent peace negotiation delegation for Russia. It must be tough negotiating for peace when you are simultaneously praising the most militarized children's event of them all. Zarnitsa 2.0 is a huge-scale project that starts in the Russian schools for kids from 7 years old. A mind-boggling number of 800,000 kids took part last year. It is a militarized game involving everything from shooting to marching to war reporting. Kids pass through various stages, from local to national, winning cash prizes and military gear. The best participants are then invited to the specialist military events, continuing their path into the army. So the link to the military involvement is beyond doubt here. Half an hour after the call, when Fedoseev himself realized he's been gamed, I started receiving calls and messages from kids who couldn't have this number without Fedoseev's involvement. Алло.
Привет.
Привет. Алло, я плохо слышу. Алло. As well as pretty randomly, a call from a French number.
Bonjour, vous êtes sur la messagerie orange de SKAT.
When we checked in the databases, it turned out it belongs to a lady who owns a boulangerie in a village, which is a bit odd seeing that at this stage Fedoseev was literally the only person who knew this number of a fresh Russian SIM card. After all these strange calls, Fedoseev suddenly messaged, "Cut it out," and then deleted the message a few minutes later.
Let's get our head around what's happening here. Berloga's barren Cyber B video game spotlights top kids, increasing their chances of being invited to real-life events. There, they learn how to build drones, and their ideas get poached, or they themselves get poached to join companies that work for Russia's army. Then these weapons that they design and build end up bombing cities and killing other kids.
It's a state-run system using kids to support the offensive war, while parents of Russian teens think their kids are building drones for peaceful use. Those same drones are in the pipeline to be used for killing teens in Ukraine.
So this is how they built the system, from a video game to the front lines. A system designed to harness the intellect of Russia's brightest kids, pulling them into the war effort with promises of university admissions and a bright future.
A whole generation of kids that are being taught that dual use is normal, that building a machine to deliver a bottle of water, which actually means a bomb, is a perfectly legitimate school project. This system and the people who build it are hiding the truth from the world and from their own kids.
Tanya and I are going to be continuing this investigation. We'll follow up on it and we'll publish other episodes on the Crystal Files as we learn more. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it or other investigations like this. Thank you for watching.